Welcome to the Ed Show. Let's talk about it. I'm your host, Eddie Pons. Today, we have Reverend Jimmy Richardson. He's going to be talking about what he's so familiar with, some of the problems that's in the school system, and maybe some suggestion how to improve. Welcome to the show, Reverend Richardson.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Reverend Richardson, you're a great proponent of you just love to talk about education, and you're a great supporter of education. And what are some of your comments that you have on this upcoming school board election?
Prayerfully and hopefully we'll get a change on that board, which will also bring about a change in the leadership in the parish. A leadership that won't fight unnecessarily in the court and continue to waste taxpayers' money. We have wasted millions of dollars that could have been averted in 2006 if we had just adhered to the things that had already been defined, gone back to the court, and we had the court to tell us, what things that we could do to bring us to a point of unitary status, which is where we headed eventually. But after millions of dollars and a lot of waste of taxpayers' money, we're going to possibly get there. So I'm hoping that this new election will bring a board that will change the leadership and the administration of this parish and help speed up that process of reaching unitary status.
It appears to me that they are trying to circumvent the court order. Do you think that would ever happen, that they can circumvent the court order?
Well, that's the thing that catapulted us into where we are, trying to circumvent that court order. And we've done it. We've done it for years. I mean, we know back in the beginning when the court ruled that these things were supposed to be done, we had 3 years to do that. And what this parish did, they found a way to work around what the courts had said and just wear everybody out to the point to where you had nobody looking at it anymore, basically. And of course, one of the defining moments in this case is when we went back to court and Attorney Alton Lewis stood before the federal judge and just simply said, I did not inform my clients of this court order. So we weren't following the court order. And I just believe that was deliberate. Some of it was just brazenly deliberate. And by doing that, we've raised the head of what we thought was the past, and many people were just kind of awestruck. What? Are we still dealing with the DSEC order from 1960s, 70s? Yeah, we did circumvent it, and it led us to this long, epic battle, to try to get where we should have been almost 40, 50 years ago.
Reverend Richardson, you was a great supporter of vocational education. And when you was on the board, you was instrumental in trying to bring that back into the school system. Would you talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, it's vivid in my mind. You can wake me up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I got the story, and the story's going to be the same. I won the election in '93, took the seat in '94. Of course, right after that, got familiar with the board members, and 2 of the board members at that time, Henry Sibley, a young board member, and Donnie Williams. And later in the next term, Mr. Carl Baldwell from Ponchatoula. It became a passion to us to address what would be as much as 60 to maybe to 70% of our high school graduates leaving high school, not going to college, no intent to go to college, and they have no marketable skills. So we started the march to try to put together a program, a VOTEC program, that would address some of the needs in industry where these young people can leave high school and go immediately to a job making $40,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. It started in '94 through my first term, through the second term, and midways the second term, we visit the schools, a 4x4 block schedule program in Harrison County, Mississippi. And we were going to benchmark them and bring that particular model to the parish. We spent some money. We had some money that was appropriated. But somewhere during that second term that I was on the board, the money was withdrawn. And of course, we start fighting again for VOTEC. And it's so sad that so many of our kids leave high school with no marketable skills, and we know what happens. You know, they're out there, they got trying to find a way to make a living, and a lot of times in some communities, those are things that are illegal. They get them in trouble, they get incarcerated, got that pipeline to prison, some of them dead, some of them never really living out what would be a calling on their life. You know, you got young men who can be excellent mechanics, heat and air guys, plumbers, electricians, and on and on and on. The list goes on. But we do nothing for those kids for the most part. So we are failing a huge percent of the community that we represent. That there are a myriad of VOTEC programs that this parish can make available to our students and future, homemakers in our community, and raise the level of living for everybody. Now, you can't have a perfect world. Now, the earth is not a sphere, it's an oblate spheroid, which is not a perfect sphere. So you can't have a perfect world, but we certainly can do better than we're doing, a whole lot better than we're doing.
Bill, talking about bringing the STEM program into the classroom now, which I think if they implement it would be a good program. Would you elaborate on that a little more?
Oh gosh, man, Mr. Pond, I would love to be in the classroom right now. You know, having science, technology, math, engineering. I probably didn't say them in order, but to have the materials, the support of the system, funding there to really allow the children, students in our community that go hand in glove in a system like that. You know, if I could have had that as a student, and because I won't downplay Amite High School in our time, because we had some good teachers back in that day, even though we were segregated at the time. But to be in a classroom now with even the President of the United States, and we're looking at global competition versus just, local and state. My son-in-law and my daughter are both electrical engineers, and both of them are in China. My son-in-law is a corporate lawyer for Caterpillar, and they get to travel all the world. But my grandchildren are in school in China. They learning Mandarin. They doing all the things that these kind of programs will do, starting from the early age all the way up. When you got science, technology, engineering, and math concentrating on those particular areas, we should have some true champions when it comes to those areas of instruction and areas of our world where we are right now. We are in a high-tech world. Our kids have to be prepared day one. They can't walk on that campus. When I got to Southern University in my freshman year, my math was so strong I could have taught the class. My algebra is just that strong. And when these kids leave and go to whatever universities, and we have the IB program, these kids are going to be prepared. My grandchildren who are in China are in the IB program, International Baccalaureate program. These kids, when they finish high school, can go to any university in this country. There was a time I was the chairman of the education committee on the school board, and I challenged Mr. Bellevue because my oldest daughter, the one who's an electrical engineer, she was going to take the ACT, and she's got this little mock test that she's taking as we driving down to St. John Parish, as I remember, for her to take the ACT. And she came to this one question about this chemical reaction between two elements. And she said, "Daddy, what's the end product?" I said, "Wait a minute, what grade did you get in chemistry?" She said, "Dad, I got an A in chemistry." "Well, did y'all go to lab?" "We didn't go to lab." Well, so I went back to Mr. Bellevue. I said, "Mr. Bellevue," and this, my daughter now is finished, and I'm still a school board member, I got to look out for not just my children, but for all the children in this parish. I said, I want to know if our chemistry teachers are having a laboratory. That's a practical side of things. You can talk theory all day long and have no practical, then you're not gonna, it's not going to make sense to you. It's not going to stick. And when he came back to me, this was the answer. He said, and I remember just like it was yesterday, he said, the teachers are afraid to have labs. Well, STEM is a program where you have the theory and the practical. So when that kid goes from Amite High School, Ponchatoula High School, Kentwood, Sumner, Independence High, they walk on that campus prepared to challenge, not to be challenged there, but to be ready to go to that next level at that college. Rather than coming in, my daughter's going into, at that time she was going to Xavier. When she left here, she left and went to Xavier. You know, you get there, and if you don't have all the skills that you need, that first day in that classroom might blow you completely out. So what we're doing with STEM, when these children go to LSU and all these school campuses across, college, university campuses across the country, they should be prepared. And I applaud where we are right now. Not because we wanted to, we were driven there. We're doing things in this parish because we're driven there, which is that's a good part of what's going on.
Well, I think everyone that's familiar with the STEM program is looking forward to have those
programs on the campuses. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Campus. At some schools, we have students, there is no lab. They're just beginning to get labs in those schools. And those kids is doing excellent. And the math, they're up in their math, they're up in English.
Mr. Prophet, let me tell you, I am quite familiar with Hammond Junior High. I taught 8th grade at Hammond Junior High, and I taught physical science at Hammond Junior High. I know the conditions of those laboratories. Those laboratories are way outdated. They should have been changed a long time ago. When I was in that classroom, I made it a point, if I was teaching a concept, in order to drive that concept home, they had to see it, smell it, touch it, or hear it. You know, I remember one of the things that used to be an attention getter in my physical science class. We was talking about chemical reactions and the elements that make up a particular compound, and the compound was sodium chloride. And in that laboratory, all the materials that were purchased even back in the year are all pushed in the corner. So I go in, I'm looking through, man, what all this stuff here, you know, that's not even being used. So I pulled out a glass, a container that had pure sodium in kerosene. Took a piece of that, put it in water. When it reacts with the water, it explodes. It's attention getter. Kids love it.
I think our time is running out. And is there anything else that you would like to say that you haven't mentioned?
I have there's one of the things that I said to the school board the last night that I was in a seat as a school board member, which was that last meeting in December 2006. And I said to the audience and those who were seated there, I said, I'm changing seats, but I'm not leaving the room. I haven't left the room. I'm passionate about education and education of our children.
Well, the time is up, Reverend Richardson, and we enjoyed having you here. And looking forward to you coming back again.
Yes, sir. Thanks you.
A lot.
Thank you for having me.
We are back. We are filming today from the African American Heritage Center and the African American Museum in Hammond. We have with us now Mr. Gary Clark, from the manager of the Tangipahoa Water District. Welcome to the show, sir.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gary, can you tell us what you all is doing at the Water District to keep the water clean and safe for our residents?
I'd be glad to. First of all, you need a good source of water, and we're very fortunate in the parish to have aquifers that produce a good clean water supply. The second thing that you need to do is to have the size of a water district or any utility big enough to absorb the cost of treating the water and maintaining the system. And third, probably the most important thing, is having good people to do all of this. And we're very fortunate that at the Water District we have 4 Level 4 certified individuals there, and we have a number of people that's on their way to the Level 4s, which is the very top certifications that you can get to operate a water system. But we're fortunate in that too. But I know every now and then you'll get a little card from us saying that we found some coliform in the water and stuff like that. And that's going to happen occasionally, not very often, but it will happen occasionally. What we do is we take something like 80 water samples a month throughout the system. And these samples are tested by the Department of Health and Hospitals, and if you have out of that 80 more than 3 positive samples, then we have to go to public notification.
And what you all do there when that happens?
It's not, coliform bacteria is ever present. If you do that, you done got 40,000 colonies of coliform. But what is bad for you is fecal coliform. The coliform in itself is an indicator that it's possible that you have fecal. So there's no real rush to get this out, because it's nothing. They do test for fecal at the same time. But there's no fecal in it, but we just want people to know that there's a possibility that something can happen.
And what do you all do to the water lines when that happens, or to the water?
We flush the lines and then go back and see what possibly could happen with it. Are we putting enough chlorine in it, or is the chemical level just right and balanced? And most of the time, it works out fine. We'll find what the problem is and correct it.
What is the normal length of time it takes to find the problem and solve it?
We'll get notified after we take the samples the following day. And as soon as we get the samples back, then we go into action. Now, the public notification will probably come about 4 to 6 weeks later.
Do you all have any new projects underway?
Yeah, we're constantly building stuff. We spent $5 million rebuilding the Pumpkin Center and Baptist area. We started that in 2011, and it's going on now, or we're about completed now. What happened with that, it was a 750,000-gallon tank, which is the largest that we have in the system. And they painted it, and we put it online. Everything was good and great. And the paint started peeling off of it, just falling off in batches. First time we ever saw it, first time the painters ever saw it, or whatever. And what they're doing right now is sandblasting all the paint off and repainting it so that we'll have a beautiful tank out in Pumpkin Center area.
Oh, that's the purpose of painting, so it can be a beautiful sight.
Correct. If in the water business you want your office cleaned and maintained, and you want your grounds cleaned and maintained. If you don't, who's going to drink the water if you got ugly, rusty tank? It just doesn't look good. Also, in 2013, we started a project south of La Veranja, and that's going to be around a $7 million project. There's a well and tank going in there, and I guess about 30, 40 miles of water line. And it's improving the system, and it's getting water to people safe drinking water to people who don't really have it. They're all on wells up there, so that's a good thing.
Are the rural areas where you all serve, they usually had wells?
Yeah, prior to us getting there.
And down, you all is in the area, are they getting rid of the wells, or are they keeping them?
Some people are stubborn. They want to stay like they are, but after Katrina, we picked up a lot of customers when the electricity was off for a couple of months. A lot of customers. They'll eventually get with us. The well go out or something, and it's easier to let us do it than replace the equipment.
Mm-hmm. What areas do you all normally serve?
We serve most of Tangipahoa Parish. We serve from Livingston Parish line to the St. Tammany Parish line on the east. And along 51, we go up to Independence on the east side of it. On the west side, we going up to La Veranja, and that's all the way to the parish line. So, and additionally, we have 2 systems. One system up north is the Old Ward 2 and the Old Ward 4. That's in the Kentwood, Amite area. So we have a pretty large system. We're serving about 18,000 customers, and we have close to 600 miles of pipeline.
What happened in the case, an area that you all is serving and it being annexed into the city. What happened in that case?
There was a trial back before I came with the water district. I think it was in the early 90s, where Hammond was taking over the rural areas, and of course they wanted the water customers. And we had funds that we derived from USDA, and USDA's policy is that that's not allowable because they are financing the system, and we need as many customers as we can. So the USDA, through the Attorney General's office, actually represented us. And Hammond paid somewhere in the $280,000, $290,000 to keep those customers that they had. But we also have a boundary where this is our customers and that's your customers. Now, not to say that if you have a situation where this is isolated and there's dual facilities in the area that we won't serve it, or for other reasons we can donate areas to these municipalities. But they just can't come in and say, I'm annexing this and I want these 1,000 customers. They can't do that.
Yeah. How many employees do you all have?
I think we have around 20 right now. We are kind of specializing. We're putting in, everybody might have noticed, electronic meters so that we don't have to have physically read the meters. The guys run around in trucks, and we have 2 employees that specialize in this. I have one guy that takes care of the computers and the SCADA systems and all of that, and he also has 2 employees that help him maintain the well sites. And fortunately, next month, I'm actually hiring a sanitarian that's coming over from the state, which is going to take these health issues off of us and give it to somebody who knows what they're doing.
In the time of a hurricane, or, for example, like Katrina came through here, do you all ever get knocked off the line?
No, yeah, we get knocked off the line, but we're fortunate enough that every major well site has generation, so our customers wouldn't lose water because the wells aren't working. They may lose water because a tree fell through a pipe or something of that nature. But no, we didn't lose water pressure at all during Katrina or after Katrina.
Oh, you have the generators on each
site, right? Correct.
Are you all expanding in any new areas soon?
Yeah, the project that I told you about in La Ranja, that's a totally new area.
New area?
Yeah, right. And other than that, it can be a couple years before we get caught up to where we can afford to refinance some of this stuff. And I don't know where we're going. We're going to keep going as long as we got money. That's our job, is put water lines in and serve the customers, so that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. All you all financing come from the SDA?
No. We bought all of those bonds. It's totally water district bonds. It's privately held. We go just like any other company would go. We go to the bond market. We sell our stuff, and people buy it as far as India, China, worldwide. We are a A+ rated organization as far as our finances go, and we can pretty much get money anytime we want to, but we have to go to public market for it.
How did you all get started in the water business in this area?
What happened back in the 60s, I would believe, or early 70s, there were 3 little water companies. It was Greater Tangipahoa was one, and they had one on the east side of town, and then they had one in Pumpkin Center. Well, these things were badly managed, and people were screaming about it and all that. And in the early 90s, the parish formed the Tangipahoa Water District. And from that formation of those 3 little systems, which may have had 2,000 or 3,000 customers in it, the water district grew. Now, it's been expanding with the expansion of the parish. When I came here, we had like 5,000 customers. We expanded into Pumpkin Center, then we expanded into Ponchatoula East, then we expanded into Bedico, and we'll just keep expanding. So that's what, as long as we have money to pay the bonds off, to pay the interest on the bonds and the bond note, we're going to keep borrowing and keep building.
The water district is still part of the parish system?
It's a separate system. It's state chartered, but the parish appoints the commissioners for the system.
Anything else you would like to say?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody. We have a great bunch of customers and we have a great bunch of employees, and it's a pleasure doing this. I enjoy it. Everybody asks me when I'm going to retire, and I say, retire from what? I'm having fun. So that's where we are.
Well, the time is up. and we was glad to have you. Looking forward to seeing you back.
Okay, thank you very much. Anytime.
Thanks for joining us today on Let's Talk About It. We'll see you next time.